Is anxiety or worry ruining the joys in your life? Does your partner or friend ask you, why do you act that way? You say you go and do something fun, and then last minute you make some lame excuse and you don't do it. That's anxiety. It robs you of your fun and your money-making potential. Joanne Williams here with 30 years of experience helping people to extinguish worry. Watch our Anxiety Simplified videos. You're going to learn secrets, simplified ways you can use in your everyday life to take control back so you can live your potential.
Hello, this is Joanne Williams, and welcome to our very first podcast of many, I hope, that we will share for a very long time. But that's up to you. My intention is to make every podcast something that provides easy techniques to understand and build your calming, peaceful feeling muscle by using these new skills with Anxiety Simplified. These techniques will be simple, understandable, and useful in your daily life in a very informative and I hope interesting way to build that new calming experience you can draw on. Each weekly podcast will start off with a summary of the podcast content so that you can decide if this one interests you, or if not, maybe it might help somebody else that you know, a friend or family member, and you could share it with them. Each episode will be direct and to the point, sharing about anxiety and a skill technique to manage your type of anxiety symptoms in step-by-step way you can take into your daily to practice. Remembering that anxiety got to be this way in your life by repeating a thought or behavior over and over again. So, practicing is how you will replace that old pattern with a new one. Sometimes we think we want to change a habit like anxiety, but it's part of your life. And changing an old habit is something new and can be challenging. Are you up to the challenge? You can find out by getting a free PDF. Are you really ready to change? On our website, anxietysimplified.net. Enter at the bottom of the front page, or look on our Facebook page, anxietysimplified.net, or ask for it, and I can email it to you. And again, you can go to our website to find that. But I will answer questions or have a portion of that in the podcast to make sure that you are getting your questions answers using only your first name, of course, or no name at all to protect your identity. I want to hear from you about your life issues that you are having that maybe anxiety affects. And you can look for the place on our Facebook page to really ask those kind of questions, or on Instagram at anxietysimplified.net for you. And that's a number 4 and the letter U. My intention is to create a forum to get your questions answered and have a sincere dialogue to help you with your life situations. We will either have a guest or a story portion in each podcast to share from the personal side of anxiety. And lastly, I'll tell you more about what will be coming up next. I do not take this time together with you lightly, and that you are willing to listen or share your questions. So I promise to make this podcast as entertaining as possible, with guests and straightforward techniques or nuggets of new information to share and take into your day, or to share with somebody else, like a family or friend member, that anxiety creates interference or obstacles that affects maybe your friendship or family holidays. They probably don't even know why these behaviors, affect them, but it may be so obvious to you. And you could help them by sharing that information or this podcast. We will go into specifics on many types of anxiety, and there are many: panic attacks, social phobia, agoraphobia, generalized anxiety disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, obsessive compulsive OCD, just to name a few. And I will offer simplified solutions to each and much more in an easy to digest and follow format that you can start using today. With my 30 years counseling experience with mostly trauma survivors, of which anxiety becomes the main feature, I had to develop some simplified solutions for anxiety to help them to focus back on their families or their goals today to move forward. And I'll explain my method, the ACT or ACT method, that is very effective and proven with my clients to refocus them back on their goals now. I am a straightforward, kind of no nonsense person. I do like to laugh, but I see life as kind of serious, probably because we had alcoholism and physical abuse in my family that shaped my thinking, a feeling like I need to find protection or fix things in a family that lacked understanding of its effects on a sensitive or intuitive child. And this may sound familiar to many of you too. This does affect us as we grow up, but we can learn ways to manage it now. I was always the different child. I was told I always had strong instincts and inner wisdom to listen more than I spoke. With alcoholism in the family, it is a continuing, I feel like, art form to really learn ways to protect a developing young self. I became more observant and anxious to make sure I was prepared for whatever may come, and more intuitive to kind of read the room for that mood that my father was in. And mainly, I learned that there is much more to life than what I saw in my family's home, in school, or religious places. Even as a very young child, I was searching for universal principles that would guide me through life, principles that worked all the time and in all situations, because they are universal laws that work for nature, animal kingdom, and humans alike. The universal laws that I found that were most useful, went back to almost to answer almost all the big questions in life. And that is the number one law of physics, that everything is energy. And the first law of thermodynamics, the law of transmutation, the law that drives progress, that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only change form. And so I'm going to explain how I use that with anxiety. But by including anxiety as an energy in motion or emotion, that can change form and can be managed or transmuted into a better feeling. This is our work here. And you don't have to understand these laws, but they do govern your life. And I do hope this will help you understand where I come from and how I frame my philosophies to show you another way of thinking about anxiety and how to manage it in your life. Ever since I was a young person, friends sought me out for advice, and I felt a sincere responsibility to give a helpful answer. And my family of origin had so many dysfunctions, and this drove me to want to understand why and how I could handle my life differently than what my family showed me with their behaviors. So, this is the reason that I sought out a college education and then continued and to get my master's degree and then 2 more years to get licensed to be able to do a professional counseling career. And I have done that as a licensed therapist now for 30 years. And I've loved every minute of it. Yeah, maybe not every minute, but I have worked in so many different settings. Hospice 3 different times, with the death and dying clients and then their families. In medical settings with ill clients, in schools, and even in a mental institution for children, and always having a private counseling practice. And I continue that today. But my specialty has become certifying for emotional support animals, since I found that emotional support animals give some of the most profound help with many types of anxiety. And we will talk about this and how to get certified according to the two federal laws that govern them in a later podcast. And you can go to our website for emotional support animals, or ESAs, at www.esapros.com, or call us at 760-485-6784. We can answer your questions about the process. We do it every day. So managing anxiety really means building new skills to grow and build up that calming muscle to gradually feel more calm and more peace in each day. No big secrets here, but you may never have understood it in a form that I will be presenting as very understandable. Little by little, step by step, to build this calming foundation you can rely on when the obstacles come, because we know they do. The question is, do you have the patience and really the self love to work on building up that calming muscle? I do hope that this podcast will have you really reach deep inside yourself and see what is really important to you and follow it. As Jeff Campbell said, follow your bliss. He said, if you follow your bliss, you can put yourself in a kind of track that has been there all the while waiting for you and the life that you ought to be living. Use that as your guiding principle. Remember, it is your everyday habits that contribute to your anxiety now. Changing those habits from within will change the outer world and the way you see it. If you want to change the outer world, you always, always have to start with you and building the foundational blocks that build the calming muscle to be stronger and stronger. And know that as you look deeper inside yourself, you will expose some things that you have avoided in the past. And that is part of this rebuilding process, to let go and create the calming and the anxiety by preparing. A definition of anxiety is avoiding preparing. This is why you have the emotion in the first place, is to get prepared. Your emotions are your inner guidance system. And anxiety is just urging you to prepare. So don't be surprised if you become aware of some things you haven't heard or seen before within yourself, as if coming up with as it comes up with this rebuilding process, appreciate it, thank it, see it as a gift, and let it go. It is just showing you the way to what you really want in your life. But are you listening or avoiding by pushing that anxiety away? At the same time, you may experience some uncomfortable feelings. You have to sit with those, start to understand them. And that may need some professional guidance if this does get too difficult for you. So just don't push it away anymore. Ask for help if you need it. It really won't hurt as much as maybe you've imagined it will. In fact, you might really feel relief and wonder, why didn't I do this before? It is probably because you are afraid that it will hurt too much to deal with it. This may have come from when you were a little child and you were trying to figure out, maybe without support or cognitive understanding of how to figure it out. But remember, you were just a child. You're grown up now. And you know more, you've done more, you've experienced more, and we can do this together now. Listen to that inner voice, what it's trying to tell you. Is it telling you what you actually need to be doing? The answer is within. If you can't figure it out, that's okay too. Timing is always everything. Or maybe you do need to speak to a professional for help that can help you get back on path. Or call us for that free 10-minute consultation at 760-485-6784. And I can guide you to your next step and what you should expect from a professional in therapy in the shortest amount of time. But knowing that this podcast is never meant to replace therapy or for medical treatment ever. There are many options, medications, or checking if there is a medical issue causing the anxiety or other health issues that could contribute to your anxiety. Diet and lack of exercise can be contributing factors that some people never think of. We actually have a nerve called the vagus nerve that goes directly from our brain to our gut. That can affect your thinking and your emotions. So there can be many ways to confront anxiety, and we will explore some of these together, some with guests that have more expertise on those kinds of things than I do. If you ever feel like you ever want to hurt yourself, there are people standing by at 1-800-273-8255 to listen to you and give you immediate guidance, or reach out to a friend or family member to come stay with you for a while. Or you always can call 911, and there are supportive people if you ask. And join us for our next podcast on anxiety types and the first part of a two-part on panic or anxiety attacks. There seems to be so much feelings of this being a foreign concept coming out of the blue, coming over people, and so foreboding to many that I want to immediately give some techniques that can be used to interrupt them or manage this anxiety better with our simplified solutions. All for today. I look forward to talking with you again very soon.
Thank you for watching. Now practice to experience what you've learned today. We know that anxiety is real, but the struggle is optional. Experiencing these skills makes the struggle of anxiety go away when you can feel in charge of your life again. Call us for a 10-minute free consultation at 760-485-6784, or to hear more about how to get a certified emotional support animal. Please like and subscribe and share this video as your way to help a friend.